can you believe that Batman vs Superman comes out next week? It's just crazy how quickly that came around, so let's celebrate that fact with my final Batman review beforehand and my review for the final installment of the Dark Knight trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises. And just like my Dark Knight review, big spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises, don't watch this video because I will be mentioning some big movie spoilers. Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012 and it's become one of those films that a lot of people find really cool to hate, or at least it seems like that anyway. And straight off the bat, I just want to tell you guys that I love The Dark Knight Rises. This film is the conclusion of the Dark Knight trilogy, which consisted of two awesome movies beforehand, so Christopher Nolan had to go out with a bang. So he did exactly what should be done for a final film in a trilogy, and that is raise the stakes higher than they ever have been before and give us bigger and more dangerous obstacles and villains to overcome, as well as a completely epic tone, and in my opinion Christopher Nolan gave that to us with The Dark Knight Rises. The film opens up and right away it establishes that Commissioner Gordon and Bruce Wayne are still living over regret with the Harvey Dent lie. The fact that they had to lie in order to keep all of Gotham's criminals in jail is haunting them and it's eating away inside of them, which is great because it ties the two films together. The Dark Knight leads into The Dark Knight Rises. It gives the trilogy a sense of continuity and I love that. Bruce Wayne has been out of commission as Batman for 8 years now and he has gotten weaker and weaker with each passing year he hasn't donned the cape and cowl. And I really liked seeing him come back as Batman because he's really rusty and he just gets his ass handed to him by Bane. Seeing Batman getting his ass beaten by Bane and then thrown into that pit where apparently only one person has ever escaped, it kind of makes him our underdog in this movie because Bruce Wayne needs to dig down deep and become the Batman once again. And I for one was rooting for Bruce Wayne throughout the entire film to become the Dark Knight and save Gotham one last time. Now we get on to Bane, played by Tom Hardy. Christopher Nolan said he wanted a villain who was a legitimate physical threat to Batman, which he didn't really have in the previous two films. So in comes Bane, a completely ruthless, vicious, menacing badass who destroys Batman in his first fight with ease. Yeah, Christopher Nolan chose wisely when choosing the villain for this film. So not only is Bruce Wayne rusty as Batman, he's got to overcome Bane. I'm telling you, Christopher Nolan did a really good job at raising mistakes for the final movie. Bane is aiming to do what Ra's al Ghul never did, and that is bring justice and order to Gotham by completely wiping it out and destroying it. And the scenes where him and his army are bombing the city and destroying the bridges and isolating it from the rest of the world, I thought were really well done. Also that scene where Bane tells everyone the truth about Harvey Dent and he tells the citizens of Gotham, "Gotham is yours. None shall interfere. Do as you please." Those moments and those scenes did a really good job at establishing how dominant Bane actually is. Overall, I thought Bane was a great villain and Tom Hardy really sold his performance. And the rest of the performances in the film were all great as usual. Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Marion Cotillard, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Anne Hathaway was really good looking but also badass as Catwoman. One aspect of the Dark Knight trilogy that a lot of people have criticised is the fight choreography. Now I understand where some people are coming from when they say the fights are underwhelming compared to the comic books and the video games, but I choose to see it as this. Christopher Nolan made the Dark Knight films as if they were to happen in real life. So the fight scenes are more grounded in reality and I thought the choreography was consistent for the tone that the films were aiming for. And even just by itself, I don't think the fight choreography was all that bad. It was pretty intense at times. But I will admit, I am looking forward to seeing Batman's fight choreography in the upcoming new DC universe because judging from the trailers that I've seen from Batman vs Superman, it looks like it's more like the comic books and the games, you know, like more exciting and more potentially badass. Now let's get on to the tone of The Dark Knight Rises. I for one love the tone, which leads to another common complaint about this film. Some people criticise this film for its really downbeat and depressing tone. And again, I do see where they're coming from when they say that stuff, but I thought the tone worked perfectly for the film. Given the storyline coming in from The Dark Knight and the stakes of Bane and his mercenaries completely overruling Gotham, you wouldn't expect anything more than a downbeat tone. I thought the grey, quiet, somber tone really highlighted the helplessness when Bane and his crew are taking over Gotham City. And then in the finale it turns epic when Bruce Wayne rises out of that pit, Batman comes back and war erupts on the streets of Gotham. You have all the exciting scenes going down, all powered on by Hans Zimmer's amazing score once again, and the film just turns epic and badass to the point where I'm just getting really giddy inside watching it. Plus the ending to this film is one of my favourites of all time when Joseph Gordon-Levitt finds the Batcave and the platform rises out of the water. There's many interpretations of this ending and I choose to see it as Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character becoming the new Batman. Batman, because Bruce Wayne said earlier on in the film that Batman is a symbol, he can be anybody. Plus Joseph Gordon-Levitt rising on that platform I thought was kind of a nod to the title as well, The Dark Knight Rises, because the film ends with The Dark Knight Rising, so that's why I think he becomes the new Batman, and I just think it's a really epic ending that got goosebumps and, you know, heartbeats coming out my chest because it was so epic. Now, does The Dark Knight Rises have problems? Yes, it does have some problems with it, but honestly my negatives with this film are not big enough to compromise my enjoyment of it too much. They're literally just small little things that I thought they could have done in a better way. One of those things being Bane's death. I thought Bane's death was quite anticlimactic because he's built up throughout the entire film as this unstoppable badass, yet at the end he's just taken out like that with one shot from the Batpod. Also, Talia al Ghul, who goes by the name of Miranda Tate throughout the film, she reveals herself as the main power behind this whole operation, and I do like that plot twist. But there wasn't enough time to fully accept her as the villain because she reveals herself as the bad guy, and then 5 or 6 minutes later her truck flies off a bridge and she dies. I would have liked to have seen more of her villainy, but that would mean adding more time to the film, and the film's already 2 hours and 40 minutes long, so I guess you do have to make some sacrifices here and there. In the end, guys, I love The Dark Knight Rises. It was one of my favourite cinema experiences of 2012. It was one of my favourite films of that year. More importantly, I think it's a satisfying and epic conclusion to an incredible trilogy, featuring really good performances, a great villain, a great hero, really grand scale story, all of that painted with an epic tone that, for me at least, amplifies the awesomeness of it and makes it a great comic book movie and a great movie in general. There are some minor flaws in there for sure, but I still love it, and I'm going to give The Dark Knight Rises full marks, 5 out of 5. So Batman vs Superman comes out next week. My Batman reviews are now complete. I've just got Man of Steel left to review, which I'll be reviewing next week, just a couple days before Batman vs Superman comes out. So check out my other Dark Knight reviews if you haven't already, and tell me in the comments below what you thought of The Dark Knight Rises, and if you like this stuff, be sure to subscribe because I got stuff coming to you guys all the time.